Welcome to another episode of The Poured Perspective, Vino with Alvino. I'm Christina Alvino, and today I have a special guest with me, Taylor Johnson.
Hello. Yes, I am the Director of Marketing Operations and Services here at StorSuite. I started here at StorSuite, FineView, 2 years ago.
She's one of the OGs.
Yes. And I started as a client marketing manager, and then I moved to the corporate branding side of things. And in March of this year, 2025, I stepped into the role of the Director of Marketing Operations and Services. So I am in charge of the marketing agency side of things, as well as helping with the strategy for the corporate marketing of StorSuite. So I do have a background in entrepreneurship as well. I had my own marketing agency before I stepped into FineView, and have found a love of storage marketing now that I've been here for a couple years.
Once storage sucks you in, you're stuck forever.
I've heard that so much at the trade shows. Everyone says that.
Well, before we get into our topic for today, since it is, all about the wine here, today we are drinking a Cabernet Franc called the Franc. It's one of my favorites. So cheers.
Oh, that's a nice ring.
Yeah. And let's dig in. So today with Taylor, we're going to be talking about the 5 biggest marketing myths versus facts. So things that we hear or see on a regular basis, both inside of storage and general marketing, that are just completely false and, what it really means. So the first one is, a lot of people believe that when my website goes live, there's nothing else that you need to do.
I have a question actually before we jump in.
Okay.
So why do we think that there are so many myths for marketing in particular?
So I do think that there is a perception that marketing is easy and marketing is fun. To tell somebody about a product, so therefore they can get into marketing, and they don't always realize the strategy that it takes to really create an effective marketing campaign. Marketing is 50% like strategy and 50% art. And some of it really is about having that gut instinct and understanding the psychology behind people. Mm-hmm. And it's not just picking out pretty colors and fun fonts to make something look nice.
100% agree. I also think that the accessibility of the tools. Yeah. So social media is free. So I can have my manager run my social media.
I can have my neighbor's cousin's friend run. Yes.
So I think that also kind of adds to it. So that'll kind of...
There are a lot of tools readily available for anybody to use, but it's knowing how to use the tools effectively that really matters.
In life, that's life advice.
Yes. To tell somebody about a product, so therefore they can get into marketing, and they don't.
Okay, let's jump in. The first question. What was that?
It was, my website is now live. There's nothing else I need to do.
Yeah. So I think that this kind of goes to the partnership aspect of what we try to do and try to bring for every client that we have. It's definitely not set it and forget it. For me, it's a ongoing process that evolves as we learn what works and what doesn't work. Mm-hmm. I think when you browse websites and you see websites that kind of seem like they've been
forgotten.
Yeah. Yes. I think your audience can pick up on that. Mm-hmm. Tenants can see that, and it deters them because they're not necessarily sure if that's what's reflective of the facility as well.
Yeah. Things change, everything changes, and a website's very much that same thing. It's truly an organic, even though it's in the digital space, the digital world's changing so much, which means your website has to change.
Yes.
Right? It can't be what you built even 6 months ago, can't be the same thing that you have today.
Yep.
So that idea of, I only have to build it once, even if it's outside of storage and just for your business, there's no API integrations, there's no pricing, that's not an e-commerce site. There's still you still can't just set it and think that people are going to search the same or use the same terms, or people change and the way that they do things changes. So you have your digital presence has to change the same.
I think that goes for facilities who aren't offering rentals online these days. If you go onto a website and you're only doing reservations or only doing calls, or I've seen in some cases applications to reserve a unit. In those cases, I think that all of that reflects to your audience that it makes it more difficult to sell to them, to get them to click rent. And most people these days, especially the younger generations, they don't really want to talk to people if they don't have to. That doesn't mean that they won't, but how can you make it?
They might make a different choice.
Yes.
Based on their buying habits.
Yes, exactly. And so you want to cater to all those audiences. Yeah.
So myth number 2.
Yeah.
My storage facility is always 95 to 100% occupied, so I don't need to do any marketing. It's one of my favorites.
This is so accurate for the time that we are currently in, which is 2025, if you're watching in the future. Because the market has changed so much, at least from my perspective, what we're seeing is those facilities that have been traditionally 95, 100%, in some cases, I've even seen over 100% occupied. That's a different story for a different day. But in those cases, what we're seeing is a subtle decline, right? You kind of it may start to dip a couple of percentages and you're like, okay, that's fine. We can bounce back from this. We have before. And then it kind of continues, just dipping ever so slightly. And you don't see that trend kind of going back up right now. We know that the real estate market is in a tough place. Interest rates are very high. There's not a lot of movement happening in the real estate agent, which, reflects what's happening in storage. And so what we've seen is there's a lot of desperation in, okay, now we're not seeing that number come back up. How can what do we need to do? And we need to do it now
and we need immediate results, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Yeah.
And so if you are taking a proactive, if your facility is currently sitting at that 95% or higher occupancy rate, my suggestion is to be proactive, to not allow that number to dip further, and to start looking at what are the modern marketing solutions that we need to start implementing so that we don't see it to continue to dip.
Yeah. I think even looking at it from an operations perspective is, if you're sitting at that 95 to 100% occupancy regularly all the time, are you raising your rates? What revenue management strategies are you using? Are you leaving money on the table because you don't want to put money into marketing to get those new tenants? You think that I'm just collecting this revenue because I'm sitting at 100% occupancy, and you're not having that turnover that other operators see regularly when they implement those revenue management strategies. And when you do that, you should constantly see some type of churn, even if it's just a little bit. The other piece of that, and being in the industry for as long as I have, I saw it pre-COVID, during COVID, and post-COVID, and that 2021 to 2022, when everybody's facilities were like super highly occupied, people are like, I don't need to do anything. And the market changed in a flash. It was like everything came to a screeching halt as interest rates increased. And marketing is not a magic wand. It is not a cure-all for everything that you didn't do for the last 2 or 3 years.
And I think that one of the myths is that we're not doing what we should be doing and reacting in that responsive way. Yes, bonus myth. We need a chime or some sort of bell for this. Along with feeling like marketing is kind of a wave of the magic wand to increase occupancy and increase results and get those instant boosts. So because a lot of people perceive marketing to be that magic wand, what we saw a lot, especially when that turn of the market happened, is they were still operating like it was 2020. And those rate increases that they had strategized previously, they implemented those, and the market had already shifted. And so one of the things that we saw was some facilities having mass exoduses and not being able to recoup that. So I think that kind of goes to the operational strategy and the tie between marketing and operations that is so important. And that's why we view it as a partnership and not just us fixing the problem, because there are so many different factors that determine why your tenant might be renting from you specifically, and the operational strategies that you need to implement for your pro forma, your owners, managers, etc. The bank, exactly. Yeah.
So myth number 3, I only need SEO or I only need paid media. The other one doesn't matter.
I feel like you hear this a lot, and I think it really depends on who you're talking to, and what they have used and been successful at. We are a full service agency, so we do offer SEO, full service SEO and ongoing SEO, as well as Google Ads and paid media. And so I think that both of those strategies can actually work very well together versus being isolated. What I usually end up telling people is that one is going to kind of give you that instant boost in rentals, which is Google Ads. It is a little bit more of a flip of the switch. You can have results in as little as a week to 4 weeks, depending on. And when we say results in marketing, that just means we could increase the clicks. We could increase views to your website, increase impressions, that kind of thing. And then for SEO is the long game.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
And the SEO portion can still pay off just as much as your Google Ads, but it's going to take you a little bit longer to do so. Those facilities that have been around for decades and have had the ability to get ranked on Google and are higher ranked see the benefits of that long term, because they were able to establish that strategy before a new facility is. So for a new facility, that emphasis on SEO and making sure that you are picking the right keywords and actually having a sound strategy is so important, just to make sure that you're showing at the top of Google. What is our promo wine cups?
Oh, the wine cups.
The wine cups. I mean, you want to be ranked. Obviously, you want to be able to show up higher on the page. The only way to do that is going to be over time, as Google recognizes that you are showing up for the keywords that you want, and you have the strategy and those words are implemented on the website.
So a holistic marketing strategy is really what a storage operator or any business needs to be successful. It can't just be, again, you can't just set the website and forget it. You can't just run Google Ads and not have supporting strategies for it. You can't just run social media and think that you're going to be a TikTok craze and everybody is going to come and rent from you. All of those pieces have to work together to drive that traffic and revenue and rentals.
Yeah. And I think that that's the piece, especially when marketing budgets become smaller, and those dollars that you're spending become more strategic. Us as marketers and as partners, like we like to view ourselves, it's up to us to kind of show you how you can best utilize the dollars that you do have. And we will look at each of those pieces and say, like, this is the right avenue for you based on your specific goals, and not one size fits all. Because if you already have an SEO presence and you're looking to boost, maybe you need to add Google Ads into your strategy, and we can work with some of the SEO that you already have. And vice versa. If you are already running Google Ads, but your website presence isn't necessarily buttoned up and that user experience isn't there, how can we button that piece up and improve that tenant experience so that the Google Ads actually work more effectively?
Right. So myth number 4, more traffic equals more rentals.
More traffic equals, I would say in some cases, yes. In some cases. However, that is not the tried and true truth. Because what I could do, using all my marketing magic, my marketing magic wand, I could get traffic to your website if that's the only metric that you are looking at.
But it's not going to be quality traffic.
But it's not going to be quality traffic. I think especially as the internet gets older, there's a lot of people who claim that they're able to do that with the wave of the magic wand. And all of that sounds so enticing. I dealt with this in my own business prior to FineView and other industries. Marketing, kind of like what we talked about, it's always sexy. It's always, oh my gosh, this person is on social media and they are doing crazy and they are the next big thing and have, grown exponentially, et cetera, et cetera. And it almost sounds too good to be true.
Usually it is.
If you're actually wanting to create results within your business, it really does take a multifaceted strategy and not just traffic. I would rather have more targeted traffic of people who I know are most likely buyers than to say to you, the client, hey, we've been able to increase traffic to your website 7,000%. But that traffic's
coming from India.
Exactly. Which has happened. And I think for us, like the hard part is the educational piece. Educating people that while those numbers seem sexy and fun, we like to call it like vanity metrics, because they make you feel important and like people are connecting. In a lot of ways, it's almost ego. It's almost ego driven. It's not about the actual results within the facility, which is ultimately like, that is our core, one of our core values is making sure that we're not just selling you vanity metrics, but actual results and rentals and revenue.
Yeah. I mean, more traffic looks great, but the quality traffic is what I know years ago, not so much now, but when I first started in the industry, 14-ish years ago, we were working with a company way back then, and I asked them what the conversion numbers were that they were giving me on my monthly reports, and they said it was every form, every phone call, every click, and I was like, those aren't conversions. To me, a conversion is something that is going to drive revenue. So it's got to be a rental, a reservation. It can't just be maybe phone calls, like first time callers. Were they calling to be an actual customer, or were they a current customer calling about something on their current account? And they just lumped all phone calls into one number. And I was like, those are all garbage vanity. That's all vanity information to me. That didn't give me the information that I needed to know if we were getting quality leads and quality visits to our site.
And to know if it's working. You know, I think there are so many ways that you can manipulate analytics to make the agency look better. But again, that's not integrous. But aside from that point, it doesn't give you the actual data that you need to be able to make strategic decisions. And I think from the operator's perspective, ultimately, that's what you want. And that's what we need in order to improve our product over time. Kind of like what we were talking about in that first point, where it's not set it and forget it. How do you make those strategic decisions on your website? Well, it's through the data that you're getting. And if you're manipulating the data to say
make it look like it's better than it is,
then it's pointless and you're paying for nothing. And I think that's why marketing kind of does get a bad rap in a lot, or the distrust for marketing agencies is because of things like that, because they're telling you, oh, this is great, we're actually doing really well, and you're not really seeing any sort of movement within your facility. You're not feeling an increase in phone calls. You're not feeling the increase in the rentals or reservations.
So the last myth on our list, if we don't get results immediately from a campaign, it failed.
This is another one that is just so timely with where we're at. I think that because of the market that we're in, I think people are wanting those immediate results because there is a little bit of panic, a little bit of, oh no, that the occupancy isn't improving, my revenue isn't improving, I'm not seeing the kind of churn that I need. And unfortunately, from a marketing perspective, things do take time, or can take time. That's not to say that there aren't ways to have kind of boosts.
What's a typical time frame that it would take for different marketing strategies to show results? I know you already mentioned paid media might be a week to 4 weeks.
I think SEO can really vary. I would say that a solid SEO strategy is analyzed on a quarterly basis, at least looking to see what movement certain keywords have on a quarterly basis. I would say with that strategy, SEO, you're not making drastic overhauls or drastic changes. And I think that that's one of the points I wanted to make here was, I think that when you see that something isn't producing results immediately, you can't just drastically throw the baby out with the bathwater. You can make slight adjustments, and maybe there are certain strategies that you can kind of do away with or pull back on, but to make large drastic overhauls because you're not seeing results after 1 month of implementation, that you don't have enough data to be able to make those decisions. I would say with most things, on a quarterly basis is kind of where that you can look to analyze what's working and what's not. We have a monthly marketing meeting that we have, or a monthly marketing report that we send out. And we give our suggestions, and usually those suggestions are slight adjustments, not anything crazy. Okay, so the only reason that I would ever make drastic changes to a marketing strategy that's kind of in development would be if there were drastic changes within the facility. And I think that's, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think there's a misconception, again, going back to what we've talked about, that, again, that magic wand, that like once you make a change or you try something new, results should immediately follow. And while some of those strategies should yield results, other ones take a longer time. So knowing what those timeframes are and having those realistic expectations of when those different things should be happening along the way, so that you're making those changes and adjustments to get the most out of the spend.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's kind of how we manage budgets, marketing budgets, and develop this. That is the strategy, right? That is kind of what we do. That's what makes a good holistic marketing strategy, and not something that's one size fits all, and not
something that's set and forget.
Yep. And the partnership aspect, the fact that operations and marketing need to work together. Yeah. Yeah.
So the 5 myths we talked about: your website goes live, it's not set and forget. Even if your occupancy is high at your store, you still need to do some marketing. You need Google Ads and SEO and a holistic strategy.
Yep.
More traffic does not necessarily equal more rentals. And just because you're not seeing results immediately does not mean that campaign failed.
Yep.
So looking at all of those things, thinking about our audience and listening and maybe what their takeaways are. What do you think the biggest takeaways are for them?
I think the biggest takeaway, and the biggest thing that I think that we try to educate our clients on, is the fact that marketing is not one size fits all. So much relies on the information that you feed us about your facility, the inner workings of your facility, the goals that you have, the market, the location. All of that information is so vital. And I think something that we see so often is that people will hire a marketing agency and kind of just take it and
they
figure it out.
They don't want to participate in the discussions.
And for us, that doesn't yield the best results. The ones who are telling us about the nitty-gritty details about where the highway cuts through and the kind of people that live there, the demographics, the ones who are able to tell us that information allow us to get those results quicker.
Yeah.
So
being originally from Pittsburgh, the highways and the bridges very much resonates because people don't go through tunnels and they don't cross rivers.
Yeah.
Period. So if you don't know that about a market, you might be targeting your paid media somewhere and wasting money because people are not going to drive to your location.
Yep. Absolutely. And it's the same thing like Austin. We're based in Austin. We have I-35. Yeah. I don't like to cross. I don't like to go on the highway. All of that information is so important.
It's vital to be able to target the right
Yeah.
message to the right
Is it a
place.
college? Do you live in a college town? That's going to determine the type of unit mix that you have. All of that information really leads to creating the best strategy. I think the other takeaway is that not one thing isn't going to save your business or increase your occupancy. It is the totality of the efforts. And even though we don't necessarily provide community marketing, event marketing stuff, we will give those suggestions if that is what your market, deems would work. If you are in a smaller, more rural area, there are times when you do need to kind of go old school. So it's looking at it from how can we customize the marketing strategy to fit your specific facility.
Yeah, I love that.
What do you think that your biggest takeaways?
I think my biggest takeaway from this is do your research and know who you're talking to. And just because your cousin's best friend's son is in marketing and has a social media background doesn't mean that he has the gray hair to have the experience to know what's worked over time and what's changed so much throughout the years. And that experience ties in so much to your end results.
Yeah. That actually, I'm going to bonus takeaway. I feel like understanding that it's kind of trusting the experts. It's my favorite thing when customers or clients ask questions and insightful questions based on my expertise and what I've seen. I think leveraging that and the fact that we work with multiple clients across the country, we see so many things. We have so much experience within the industry, not just me personally, but being able to capitalize on your experience. Damon, all of us at StorSuite.
Hundreds of years of combined
storage experience in different segments of it. I love it when those questions are asked, because it means to me that you trust us, but also allows us to think about things a little bit differently and only improves the results that we're able to get for you by knowing that you trust us to be able to make the right decisions instead of pretending that you have, like, your niece is telling you that you need to be on TikTok and that's good enough. Which may work, and send me the link because I'd love to learn.
Awesome. Well, I think that's it for today. Thank you so much to Taylor for joining me in this conversation. I know when we get started talking about marketing, we could go on forever. But thanks for joining again on another episode of The Poured Perspective, Vino with Alvino, and we'll see you next time. Cheers. Thanks for joining me on another episode of The Poured Perspective, Vino with Alvino, a StorChats podcast. Be sure to listen, like, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Cheers.